Afternoon and call the meeting to order at 4 p.m. Monday, June 10th, 2024. As always, just remind you to shut off your mobile devices, put them on the switch or silent mode. I have the motion here for the agenda. For any deletions or additions to the agenda for Monday, June 10th, 2024, regular meeting of council. Sir, go ahead and move. Councilor.
The one deletion would be the grade 11 students are not coming because we had powwow last Friday. So
okay.
As a counselor, I'm still struggling to remember our schedule.
Okay. Grade 10 students?
Grade 11 students won't be here.
Okay, it's got grade 10 here, but they won't be here anyway, so we're going to skip that delegation.
Yeah.
Can you move a second and put that on the floor? Wheeler and Suki, thank you. Any other errors and additions? Okay, all in favor? Very, thank you. Any disclosure of interest this evening? Hearing none, I do have a motion that council hereby adopts minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Monday, May 27th, 2024, circular amended, moved by Councilor Lake, second by Councilor Suki. Any errors or omissions in those minutes? Hearing none, call question, all in favor? Very, thank you. So Councilor Pache is not available this evening. He's still out, so we'll go right to Councilor Redden and give a student council report. How are we doing today?
Doing good. So on Friday, we had our powwow, as Councilor Lake said. It was a very great success. Everyone had a good time from what I've heard as a student. We had Manitowocsh High School and Lake Superior High School come out of town, as well as the local elementary schools come down. So we had a very diverse age group there. And we had a lot of help from grade 12 students and volunteers, and everyone did a great job. And I'd also like to recognize Councilor Lake's contributions towards not only this powwow, but also the many powwows that we have experienced throughout my time as a student in the community. And now on to sports, which I don't know too much about, but Nim would have announced that there's a sports banquet this Thursday at 7 p.m. to honor our athletes. So.
Great, thank you. Anybody have any questions of Councilor Redden? While we're on your student council reports, I know I was hoping Councilor Christian would be here tonight, but we got a little gift of appreciation for you guys sitting in on with us as council members for the year, and I really appreciate all the hard work you did, and especially the presentations you did at NOMA and getting up there and asking those tough questions of minister is really cool. So I appreciate that. Thanks for all the hard work.
Thank you so much.
If you wouldn't mind, I don't know if maybe Mr. Lake or you will give this to
We can do that, yeah.
Mr. Lake. Can you thank him on behalf of council?
Okay.
Appreciate it. And we look forward to you guys talking to some of your peers and reminding them that there's opportunities if they'd like to get involved with council in the fall.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks for the report. Up next, we have a report on the boat launch fees. Mr. Skorczynski.
So at the regular meeting of council on December 18th, 2023, council approved the 2024 fees and charges schedule, which included boat launch fees. Council has directed administration to relook at boat launch fees and bring a further report back to council based on feedback received from the public. The current fee structure for pleasure craft use of the boat launch is as follows: daily fee $26, 3-day pass $54, and a seasonal fee of $152. Based on the current fee scenario, the municipal tax levy currently subsidizes 90% of the boat launch operating costs, while user fee revenues cover 10%. By comparison, on average, cost recovery targets through user fee and revenue generation for other municipal recreation facilities are approximately 60%. The goal of facility operation is always to move towards full cost recovery. Administration notes that regardless of the number of users of any recreational facility, operating costs remain constant. Should council wish to look at decreasing user fees for 2024 to in turn hopefully encourage more usership of the facility, the following reductions would seem reasonable. Moving the daily fee to $21, which is approximately 20% reduction. Reducing the 3-day pass to $49, which is approximately a 10% reduction. And dropping the seasonal fee to $137, which is approximately a 10% reduction. No changes to commercial or kayak storage fees are being contemplated at this time in this report. Financially, any fee reductions will result in decreased user fee revenue, which will need to be subsidized through taxation or other sources of revenue. This decrease in boat launch fees will amount to approximately $2,000 to $3,000 in 2024. Options for council: A, include the new fees for accessing the boat launch in the 2024 fees and charges bylaw and amend bylaw number 2079, or do not implement the new fees as presented in the report. Administration presents this proposal for council's consideration and approval.
Thank you for that report. I do have a motion here for the fees to be looked at and discussed. The council hereby accepts the attached report and recommendation of boat launch fees and further that the appropriate bylaw be adopted later in this meeting of revising the fees for accessing the boat launch for 2024 fees and charges bylaw. Moved by Councilor Lake, second by Councilor Suki. Questions, comments? Councilor Lake?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I mean, this has obviously been a pretty contentious issue within the community, especially online. And again, I was really pleased that some of the members that had complaints or concerns came to the board, went through with the delegation. So I think this addresses some of their concerns. What I'm interested in is, moving forward, I think that line that says, we're trying to move towards cost recovery. How is it that we can kind of, move forward with good communication with that group of folks so that we're not having the same fight every year? I think there must be some way to do it. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I do wonder about that as we move forward as a way to make sure that we're, in terms of the folks that are using the facility and administration and council, that we're kind of all working towards the same thing.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I know, informally, Mr. Paris has had some conversations with some of the users of the facility, including Mr. Severance, who made the delegation to council, about reestablishing some type of committee and approaching the town, like we've had in the past. So, the good example is, if people recall, how we ended up with, the boat launch and the work we did. We had a waterfront development advisory committee put in place as a committee of council. Right. So, we can certainly look at the same thing. So it's really just a matter, I think, of, and we're always open to those conversations, right, to input into, what fees look like, what use of the facility looks like, so it's really about people, mobilizing themselves, reaching out to the municipality, and asking us, right, to set those things up because, we're very willing to do that. One of the things we have eliminated is, just the ongoing advisory committees because they got stale and they didn't provide any value. But like we did with, the Waterfront Development Advisory Committee, we established the terms of reference. We set some goals on things we wanted to achieve, and ultimately we did. So certainly administration's, very open to that concept to bring the report to council to establish those committees on a go-forward basis.
That to me sounds like an excellent suggestion.
Anybody else? Councilor Suki?
Yeah, just a question, just if they were to form a committee and as they currently stand, in terms of applying for a contribution from the MAT taxes, there have to be a formal committee formed in order to be able to do that?
That is a really good question that I would have to research a little further just from a legal perspective. I do believe it has to be a not-for-profit incorporated group, but there may be ways, to flow the money through another organization, or ultimately, we can give the money to ourselves to reinvest back in the facility, right? So, so the recommendations could come from a committee, and then ultimately the municipality choose to use the MAT tax to invest in the facility. But I'll certainly do some further research and look into, going back over the initial report on the MAT tax because that does have the legal implications in it.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you look, I sat on the Waterfront Development Advisory Committee to redevelop the waterfront and put the docks in and the slips and the fish cleaning station, all the various things that are down there. It's a complete package. And the people who were not involved at the day or maybe are, suggesting and revising the terms of reference from that point going forward. Every year we sit and we talk about fees and charges. And every resident has the opportunity to talk about us, recreational fees and charges, as well as usage fees and charges for whether it's a golf course, the compound for parking your buggy, or the boat launch for that matter. We asked administration to revisit it through the meeting we had with the Marina Club. I think we got a reasonable response from administration looking at some of the reduction in those fees. Maybe not everybody's going to be satisfied with the reduction amount, but the reality is, the visa served Mr. Skowczynski, it's about cost recovery, and we've always been a council that's been reflective of how do we get some sort of cost recovery back for the user fee on that plus any other facility that doesn't all have impact on taxpayers. Other communities might do differently. I did have the opportunity to speak to other mayors over the last week in Southern Ontario. And a lot of them subsidize the complete use of their boat launches or their recreation facilities by 100% taxation. So is that fair and equitable for all residents in that community? That's a choice of that council, not ours. We've always believed that there's some opportunity to bring back some sort of user fee to offset the operational cost. So is everybody accepting the fair and reasonable amount of reductions that's been presented by administration?
I think it's fair and
Yeah.
something we can entertain another conversation when it comes to approving the 25.
Absolutely. So we meet in December of this year to discuss the 25 fees and charges. We can definitely have more discussion with that user group if they have interest in making a presentation or suggestion, and then we can look at that for the 25 fees and charges.
Yeah.
Councilor?
And if we were going to reestablish a committee like that, would that need to come formally from the group to say, can we do this? Or is that something that
Well,
we would?
it can happen one of two ways. One, it could be, a request from a group. It doesn't necessarily need to be a formal incorporated group. Or the second could be, council directing administration to look at setting up that committee, which was, how we did in the Waterfront Development Advisory Committee was, because it's not, the caveat to the committee is it's going to be representative of all users. So boaters, kayakers, walkers, whoever uses that facility. So we need to, to find that balance. So the committee solely wouldn't be in place to say, we're going to comment on fees, right? It needs to relook at that whole area again. So, if council wanted administration to do some legwork on that and bring a report back, say in September, of course, we'd be happy to do that.
But there is a small kind of non-organized group of people that are part of the Marina Club that if they want to form that Marina Club again and have their committee separate from council, it's not a council-driven advisory committee, and then bring suggestions back to the community through the marina usage of that facility, then it makes sense. But it's not going to be an advisory committee of council.
Okay.
Anything else?
That makes sense.
Good. Appreciate it. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you for that report
Thank you.
and the work put into it. And as reminding the individuals, it's always work being involved in trying to be fair and equitable on a balanced scenario for fees and charges. Up next, we have a report on investment policy, annual treasury report. Copy to all members. Mr. Burwell, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Financial policy number 11 states that the treasurer shall provide an annual investment report that details the status of the current investment portfolio and transactions made since the last report. The investment report shall contain a statement about the performance of the portfolios, a statement by the treasurer as to whether or not, in his opinion, all investments were made in accordance with the policies and goals adopted by the municipality, and such other information that council may require or that in the opinion of the treasurer should be included. So in 2022, bank interest was $50,000. TD's rate gradually increased from 0.55% to 4% in December. One investment pays 0.165% higher interest, and term deposit interest was $127,000. Realized income on the one investment portfolio was $48,000. There was no purchases or redemptions made in 2022. Last year, bank interest increased substantially to $137,000. TD's interest rate gradually increased from 4.4% to the current 5.3% in December and continues as of May. One investment continues to pay a slightly higher interest rate. Term deposit interest earned was $231,000 and realized income in one investment was $62,000. Again, there were no redemptions or purchases made last year. As of December 31st of 2023, the book value of the investments in one fund is $1.6 million. There's $6.2 million invested in term deposits and $1.8 million in various bank accounts. Not reflected in the one investment portfolio is the unrealized change in market value. In 2022, the unrecognized value was $90,000. Last year, the unrealized value is $211,000. All the investments were made in accordance with the town's investment policy, and this is given to you for information only.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Mr. Burwell, on that?
Yeah, so you be able to just explain what unrealized value is?
It's just like when the stock market goes up and down, your advisor will tell you, don't worry, in 2019, you got a bad year, but you didn't sell anything. So on paper, it's unrealized. But if you did sell it, you would have had the loss. Same thing with this. We've had one investment now for over a decade. And for example, in our equity, the value was a lot higher than what we paid for, and what we're getting on interest is because the market has been doing a lot better than what we've been getting. Same with bond funds. It hasn't been doing so well in 2 years ago when interest rates were very low. But now that interest rates have increased, we're doing a little bit better. And so again, we haven't really recognized that value because we haven't sold it or redeemed it.
So it becomes recognized once it's withdrawn.
Yes.
Councillor?
Yeah, and it's great that we have money in the bank. That's always a good thing. What's our infrastructure gap as we go forward? I mean, it's one of those things, right, where you have a lot of money in the bank and everybody's like, oh, we got lots of money, we do what we want. But there is massive amounts that we need money for. Right?
Everything is relative to, we're building a garage
$10 million?
for 7 million, and the works manager have given you previous stuff on what to do to get just one lift station up to code, and that was still $7 million. And we do go quite high on what we're going to spend on. And for example, works garage, it was 2020. It wasn't until 2023 that we started spending money on it. And so as a treasurer, I try and keep money aside because we only look at year by year.
I just think that's a really important point. As you look at those numbers in isolation, it tells a different story than in the totality of the community.
Realistically, and exclusive of the active living center, if you're probably, were to visit our capital replacement strategy, 80 million is probably the gap.
So I just think,
So for the public's information,
Yeah.
infrastructure deficit is $80 million.
yeah,
For us to do all the work. Yeah, and then we're looking at building an active living center that's, will hopefully get some funding, but
Yeah.
It's still a big ticket item, right? It's gonna cost municipality long-term debt borrowing. Any other questions, Mr. Verbal? Okay, thank you very much. Up next, we have report on properties eligible for tax registration. Mr. Verbal.
According to the tax collection policy, a list of all properties eligible for tax registration must be presented to council. This list is to be all-inclusive. Section 373 of the Municipal Act enables the treasurer to register a tax arrears certificate against title to that land if there are 2 years of tax arrears. Tax schedules detail the properties that have taxes outstanding from 2022 or earlier. The cost of registering property is approximately $2,000 per property. All the costs associated with tax registration are fully recoverable, but again, only if the properties can be sold. In 2023, there were 25 properties. Again, this includes the 7 Marathon Pulp properties that were eligible for registration. They totaled $158,000 in outstanding taxes. This is excluding Marathon Pulp properties. This year, there are a slight decrease of 22 properties, including Marathon Pulp properties. Excluding those 7 properties, the exposure is $81,000. 10 properties are new to the list. In 2023, there were 11 first-time residences added. In 2023, there are 6 properties in tax registration totaling $39,000. This year, there are 7 properties with the exposure of $113,000. This report is for council's information only.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Verbal, on those properties and reports? They'll be advertised locally for the ones that you're gonna put up for registration in the
Correct.
paper, and everybody has an opportunity to see that. Okay. Thank you on that, appreciate it. Up next, we have road report on Canada activities. Good afternoon, Ms. Suki.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Great. The Town of Marathon is looking forward to our 2024 community celebration of Canada Day. This year, we're kicking things off on Sunday, June 30th, with live music provided by our local band Roundabout at Penn Lake Park, beginning at 8 p.m., with a transition to our fireworks show at dusk. On Monday, July 1st, we are inviting the community and surrounding communities back to Penn Lake Park for a day filled with exciting activities. The event will run from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. with opening ceremonies starting at 11. There will be a vendor market under the tent with various items for sale, carnival games, bouncy castles, face paint, food vendors, ice cream, cotton candy, and much more. We'd like to thank the groups, organizations, and businesses who have supported the festivities for this day and for adding to our celebration. If anybody requires information, they can call here or check our Facebook page.
Great. Any questions? Look forward to it. Hopefully have some good weather and we can have the fireworks rather than a fire ban. It looks like it's in pretty good shape
Should be
right
good
now,
this
yeah.
year.
Should be good this- Yeah, and just for council's information, we chose the 30th for the fireworks for two reasons. One is a lot of people are off on the stat holiday. And if there is a rain day, we'll do the fireworks on July the 1st, not the 30th. So it gives us two options.
It's great.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the report.
Glad there's bouncy castles. Number one thing.
Okay. Even last year, like I was watching little people running into the water one, they're frozen solid. But they still went up and down the slide, so
Yeah.
amazing the resilience of those little people when they want to go for a slide. So hopefully it's a little warmer this year. I have just a real report on my attendance of the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards. They were held in Southern Ontario, Blue Mountain. Arrived Sunday night, Monday morning, first thing, got into the discussion with our board. We had an executive meeting and discussion that the board was going to do moving forward around a lot of the discussion was talked about the Community Safety Policing Act change, which came into effect April 1, 2024. The government's worked on it for probably some 8 years and still is not fully implemented and rolled out. Still a lot of confusions from a lot of boards in regards to the amalgamation of boards, the understanding of the training, the community's involvement in regards to the whole process of appointing board members. Then, of course, the provincial appointments is still up in the air. A lot of the boards still haven't had provincial appointments. Then that coincides with the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, which a lot of communities have not completed or have finalized their Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. We took the initiative and worked with Manitouwadge and got a Safety and Wellbeing Plan that's laid out working with all your community groups and organizations. That is the Town of Marathon's plan. It's not the association's plan. It's not the police services plan. It's the Town of Marathon. But in conjunction with the police board, the police service board shall work with the municipality to implement those community well-being safety plans, along with the Community Safety Policing Act change. It's a lot of regulatory changes that happened and a lot of confusion by a lot of board members, and especially new people coming on. And then trying to attract new people is even going to be harder because of the training aspect as well as the police checks, record checks, and just getting everybody on the same page. So we went through all that. So we had some really keynote speakers talking about the impact of these two legislative changes. We had a lot of information on database training, budgeting, and now boards are going to have a separate budget for municipalities. It's just a lot of more administrative workload, reporting, identifying your detachment commanders. And OVP Section 10 boards are very unique because it controls us. They're saying we should be doing a lot more with the detachment commanders. That was Monday. There was a lot of administrative stuff. Monday, Tuesday, we got into minister give remarks in regards to the changes in the act. That was first thing Tuesday morning. Talked about technology and alternative response models for 2024, modernizing police forcing with the cameras in cars, the fact that more and more people are challenging police officers for their interactions with them. So the safety of a police officer, as well as the individuals, is much more easier to identify when there's a camera going right from the start of the interaction with the persons, because we all see it. And when you don't see a camera, then you have judgment calls. When you see the camera and you see the incident right away, it's really easy. There's never a lot of discussion on that. There's never no protest disruption of the community when they can see the act of the individual directly on the camera. But when there's no video of that act, it becomes a real issue for the community. So it was really good. That was a really good discussion around that. And there's cost obviously associated with that. And we had inspector of policing. Now that's a new regulatory process that we have to go through as boards. So there's been an inspector to policing policies and appointments made. It's what it is it really is, it scares people away. So why do you want to get involved with this type of board when you have all these regulations in place that you have to follow as a community member with a very, very small compensation package? And that was discussed in length too about what the compensation package should be for boards. We thought that the minister should set something up so it's a standardized fee across. If you're going to represent the municipality, whether Section 31 is municipal police forces, Section 10 is OPP detachments, and the 5.1, which is now eliminated, was amalgamated into Section 10, which is your communities like our neighboring community, Manitowoc, will be amalgamating with us as a police board. Got into more discussion around education, evaluation of your detachment commanders, some key policies in regards to the training, overview of all that. There's a lot of stuff that they're proposing over and above the training. And I felt, as a longtime board member, and I talked to our deputy clerk, understanding that it was a fairly straightforward training process. But if you're coming in off the street, a lot of people found it very difficult to understand the policing ideals behind the training. So that was done up, and then successfully operating in the detachment board, best practices lessons. It was all about the new the process going forward. Then we had Wednesday morning, we had community surveys, the importance of use of surveys and evaluation of your board. So we should be evaluating ourselves from the community's point of view. The community should be we should be putting surveys out to the community and asking, as if people don't even know who the police board is, people don't know who the education board is.
Yeah.
They know who the council is, but if you ask anybody in the community who your board of directors for education or policing, they don't have an idea. But now we have to promote that so people can actually make comment and survey your board members for policing. So it's going to be interesting. And then we talked about the chiefs of police surveys as well as that budgeting. Budgeting is going to be a big thing, but our small detachment is not going to be an issue. We're going to go back to the municipality and say we need X amount of dollars. We're going to go to our neighboring community, Manitowoc, which is going to be amalgamated with our board. We're going to say you need to pay X amount of dollars. So whatever that number is, we're a very small budget right now, but might have to bump it up a bit more because we're all going to be required to have insurance as well over and above the municipal's insurance because we were under the umbrella of the municipality. Now we're going to have our own. So they're recommending each board should put a minimum of $5,000 in for director's insurance over and above the municipal insurance, whether it's that high or not, but we're working on that. I'm on an insurance committee for that to be done as well. And then I got appointed again for the term for 2 more years for the Northern Section 10 boards. And then as well, I'm also sitting on the advocacy committee for the Association of Police Service Boards, as well as now the insurance committee for the association. But the insurance comes together with AMO because AMO is working with the association to try to bring a package together for insurance for directors. And you have to have it because we're all covered under our municipal director's insurance. And you certainly want to be under the OPP as well because anybody can challenge you at any given time. And you don't want to be out of your pocket paying for some sort of challenge. So it was a very educational 3 days, I can tell you that much. Not a whole lot of time for play, and it was a beautiful facility, but didn't really get to experience much of it. So sitting in a big room, it wasn't so bad, but it was a lot of administrative stuff being presented. Any question to that? No. Serena's got, Deborah Kirk has a good job, got her work cut out for her because we got to coordinate all this now and put it all together and get a hold of Manitowoc, amalgamate our board, hopefully get the provincial appointment done, and then we can have an actual board, functioning board.
Is that, so again, the amalgamations make sense by numbers, but not by geography.
No,
Like it just, okay, it is what it is.
it is what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
they understand Northern Ontario is unique, but geography wise, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's an hour. It's an
An
hour.
hour, Yeah, most of the municipalities done it, but they've amalgamated some places where 4 or 5 boards are amalgamated together, but it might only be an hour
Yeah.
for the whole district of those 4 or 5 boards, right? So, yeah, they talked about that because that's where they're there. So we have a meeting here, or we go to Manitowoc, we're gonna have to pay for that compensation for travel. Yeah, so it's gonna increase costs for the municipalities for sure. Okay, thank you. Up next, I have a bylaw number 2079 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2065 being a bylaw to authorize the establishment of fees and charges for town marathon for the year ending December 31st, 2024. We're in first, second, and third time finally passed this 10th day of June 2024. Moved by Sugi Segment Council League. That was on the fees reduction for the boat launches, and hopefully the individuals that presented are happy, and we'll work with them throughout the year to discuss 2025. All in favor? Carried, thank you.
Your worship, if I could, just on that, just for public information, obviously, we're gonna have to put a mechanism in place to refund. So we'll publicly post that once we've accomplished that over the next couple of days. So we just want people rushing in and looking for their refund. We'll post when we're ready to do that, but we'll do that in fairly short order.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All in favor is good. Carried, thank you. And nothing else in regards to that. It's just in June is the seniors month in Ontario. We want to recognize all the seniors, the contribution they made to our community. If you have an opportunity to just say thank you, no different. And we recognize the contributions of the volunteerism that they've done in our community. Just, they put a lot of time and effort over the years, and we don't always make that effort to thank them. And hopefully that you have an opportunity to say hi and say thank you. I dropped into the manor, actually. They were asking for more bingo money. I said, well, we don't have any bingo money for the bingos, but remember they requested us to have a little small donation, but they were playing bingo. They wanted me to play, but I didn't have time. So it was all good. So anyway, thank you for that. And going into sorry, Councillor.
I just a question about the really nice display for the ALC out front. Do people know how to access are we doing VR headset?
Yeah, so we posted, so last week we did the public showing for the VR headsets. We've now posted to our website and social media, the actual virtual reality 360 tour.
Okay,
So you can access it on the web.
okay.
Yeah.
It was good to see the big posters. I actually found that really useful.
So yeah, so you can access it from your phone, your computer, whatever device you have now.
That's awesome.
Yep, great, thank you. And so we're going to go into an in-camera meeting, discuss a personnel matter directly following this public meeting. So thank you very much, and we'll adjourn it now at 4:31 p.m. Moved by Councillor Lake, seconded by Councillor Whitt. Thank you, and have a good night.
Are we still good with the taking headset or? Yeah.
You want to do picture? Yeah.